So my name is Jaron Cloud. I'm the marketing director for Audeze headphones. We're a lot of things, but technology company and an audio company at our core. So been working with Planar magnetic technology now for more than 10 years, really well known among the audiophile and pro audio circuits. And over the past few years, we've started to push much more into gaming with products like Mobius and now with Penrose.
So what are you showing here at CES 2021?
Yes, so Penrose is what we're showing. I'm actually wearing that right now. This is an older pre-production unit, so it doesn't have all of the fancy bells and whistles that we've changed since then. But yeah, so Penrose is the new gaming headset that we launched in July of last year, actually. At least we opened it up for pre-orders back then. It's a wireless planar magnetic gaming headset, lossless, low latency, 2.4 gigahertz wireless. It has Bluetooth connectivity with simultaneous connection between the two, also analog playback if you'd prefer that too. So it really, all it is the best sounding gaming headset that you can get with, obviously with wireless and stuff like that. So for us, it's really nice because, planar drivers used to be very inaccessible for price point, and we used to only make products that were $1,000 and up. And so being able to offer one at $300, which is what Penrose costs, that in of itself is an achievement for us. And to also have it be wireless is a big deal.
Yeah, you have some very high-end headphones on here. So I'm looking at some of the other ones right now. That's some high-quality audio.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the challenges when taking this, 3D spatial audios, with 7.1 is no shrug to do wirelessly? I mean, obviously Bluetooth does have limitations. Certain Bluetooth does have limitations.
Sure.
Can you talk about some of the challenges when doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So to clarify really quick, so it looks a lot like a Mobius headphone, but it's not a Mobius headphone. So Mobius is the one that has 5.1 surround sound and 7.1 surround sound with head tracking, which is primarily a wired USB headset for high-end PC gaming. And that's when you're going to get all the surround sound elements to it. It also has a gyroscope and accelerometer built into it for the head tracking component. With Penrose, we don't have the surround sound processing. So this is just a stereo headphone. So we don't have to deal with all the bandwidth restrictions that you might get if we were trying to push multi-channel audio over a wireless protocol. So again, the focus here was to make something that was optimized for console use, that wouldn't have any sort of pain points regarding latency or audio quality issues, and just to make it as streamlined and easy to use as possible.
$300. I mean, your headsets range from $300 all the way to $900. Obviously, there's different drivers, different utilities in those. What separates the Penrose headset from other competitors out there with a lower price point that claim to have some of the same features and quality?
Sure. I mean, first of all, you're not going to see a lot of other headphone manufacturers out there working with planar magnetic technology, and I think that's something that maybe isn't widely understood outside of the audiophile crowd. So I think that's the core differentiating factor for us, is the drivers themselves. It's a different type of speaker assembly from the ground up to what you would typically see in most headphones, which use what are called dynamic drivers most of the time, dynamic cone-based speakers. Our speakers are actually made up of things like a piece of film that's thinner than a human hair, and the magnets go around that piece of film. We own or have a lot of our own patents as well. So things like our Uniforce voice coil, which helps to even out the frequency response across the diaphragm, helps to reduce distortion. Our Fluxor magnets, which basically allow us to almost double the power of the magnetic structure without doubling the number of magnets. It essentially increases the force on one side of the magnet structure instead of having it be equally distributed on both sides. Also our phaser waveguides, which is another thing that helps to reduce distortion, reduces audio diffraction close to the diaphragm. So basically, we're taking our expertise as an audio company who has specialized in creating equipment for very, very discerning customers. Audiophiles, I'm not sure if you are one yourself, but they know their stuff, and these are people who tend to enjoy listening to really high resolution audio files, like 96 kilohertz, FLAC files and things like that. So they're very used to listening to the minutia of audio quality differences from one pair of headphones to another. And in that space, you'll often see planar magnetic technology, right? And we are known worldwide as some of the best in that technology. But when you take that to the gaming sector, you don't have anything that comes close to it. And it really is a night and day difference. And obviously, I work for Audeze, so it is my opinion, but that was my experience when I went in there. Is sometimes you'll listen to a variety of speakers or a variety of headsets, let's say, and you'll read the marketing copy and you say, oh well, yeah, I think I hear a difference here, I think I hear a difference here, but they tend to be subtle. With our headphones, I don't think it's a subtle difference at all. I think when we demo these at trade shows, like we did PAX East, we've done Guardian Con, TwitchCon, and finally had the opportunity to get our headphones into the hands of some of these gamers that didn't know who we were, and it was very rare that they didn't leave with a smile on their face. I mean, it's kind of once you hear it, that's really all it takes.
Now, not to get too off track here, but just an interesting question for you personally as the marketing director is it difficult to market a headset with such a high price point, regardless of the quality, because it sounds like it's a really good innovative technology? Like, is it hard to market that and have people like entertain the idea of it's a $300 headset, yes, but like, can you get past that point? Like, what's some of the difficulties you face?
Sure. For marketing, I wouldn't say it's necessarily difficult to market it, but we do find that, yeah, with this new audience of gamers, it is a bit of a surprise, although there are other products at the same price point. So we're sort of at the upper end of, I think, what people at this point are used to seeing, at least with the $300 price point. I will say that it can be difficult to communicate to folks just how much of a difference audio quality can make in your gaming experience, and to really even articulate what differences in audio quality are from one pair of headphones to the next. When you're talking about things like the level of detail that you're getting, or even if you start getting a little bit more technical when you deal with transient response or some other, more tech spec related things, the average user may not really know how to translate those words into a sound. And in my view, sound is kind of an abstract concept. So to take that concept and then try and articulate it so that everybody can understand, that can be a challenge sometimes. But again, that's why I say once you hear it, it tends to make all the difference, because I can talk till I'm blue in the face, but there's nothing that's really going to replace the experience of getting to hear a pair of these and really seeing what it's like to just hear the level of detail and accuracy that these headphones can provide.
Question about the Penrose is, one of my biggest pet peeves about headphones in general is not being able to control the game volume and the chat volume, like either through PSN or Xbox Live. Does your headset allow the channels to be individually monitored on the headset itself?
So we support a game chat, game volume versus chat volume mix for Xbox, which is handled on the Xbox. And so we do, I believe, and I would have to double check because we have made some firmware changes over the past few months, but I believe it's the microphone volume wheel. The click and scroll function can help adjust that setting for Xbox. For PlayStation, we do not have that. What we do have available are things like sidetone toggling and stuff like that. But generally, if you do want to adjust those levels, you just have to go and edit the game volume and drag that down, or sort of mix it from the source itself.
And it looks like these headphones have both wireless and wired capability. How do they plug? Is it via the controller for the PS4, for the PS and Xbox?
Yeah, anything with a 3.5 millimeter audio jack would do fine. And so, yeah, whether it's wireless, Bluetooth, or analog, those are the three means of doing that.
Now, how long does the battery? It charges via USB-C. How long does the battery tend to take to charge and last on the headset itself?
I'd have to get an exact number for you. I believe the last I heard, for a full charge, it's between 2.5 to 3 hours, and I believe it's around 15 hours of battery life total. And obviously, this is going to vary depending on what kind of charging block you're using or the conditions of use. Like if you're simultaneous connected to both wireless and Bluetooth and doing a whole bunch of stuff, that may drain your battery a little bit faster than if you're just sticking with one. But general 15 hours of battery life and about 2.5 to 3 hours to fully charge.
And obviously both headsets will work on PC and Mac. However, for the console, you need to have a specific version because of requirements from the manufacturer, correct?
Correct. Yeah, there's the security certification stuff relating to Xbox. I think Sony peripherals are a bit easier, which seems odd to say, right? Because I think with PlayStation 4 and previous generations, it was a bit more difficult to get your peripherals to work right. But yes, that's the reason there.
So so don't get mad at them. Get mad at Xbox and Sony for putting stuff in the way. Like that's their fault. You can.
I would say don't get mad at anybody. I mean, honestly, one thing that I'm really happy with is that this next generation of consoles, PlayStation 5 and the new Xbox Series X and S, they really put an emphasis on the power of their new audio engines, whether it's Tempest or whatever, all the stuff that Xbox is capable of doing. And for me, that has taken the idea of audio quality and brought it more into the mainstream, right? And I like that, and especially working for a headphone company who specializes in products that are specifically designed to take advantage of superior audio quality. I'm just a big fan of what both companies have decided to do with regards to audio.
But like, at least it works on Nintendo Switch as well. Is that
it
correct?
Does. That's correct. Yeah, if you have the base station, you just plug the USB dongle right in there, and you should be fine. And of course, analog jack should work as well.
That's fantastic. How much do you have, at the top of your head, do you have to know how much the headset weighs? I know it's hard to get a
340. It's like between 320 and 340 grams, somewhere in there.
Yeah, so I just saw 320 grams, and because I'm in the US, I have to translate that into ounces because we have a terrible metric system. Hold on one second.
Yeah, not too heavy. I mean, our headphones definitely can get a lot heavier than that. I think we have some that are over 600 grams and stuff like that. And the magnets tend to add a bit of weight.
Yeah, so a pound 60 ounces, these are like 11 ounces. So it's less than a pound, which is actually good because you don't want, like, I have some headsets that are on the cusp of a pound and they are very heavy and you can't. I have to put them on my neck because it weighs down a lot.
Yeah.
That's a really cool product. And you guys said you guys were all about high quality audio for music and films, right? When you mentioned before going to gaming, it's a different beast. It's a different way of looking at the 3D spatial and the 7.1 surround, which actually can give you huge advantages in certain games that are sound dependent, whether it's like Fortnite or Dead by Daylight or whatever. Like, they use 3D sound to hear things and what's going on around you, which is a really important. Why is now the good time to get into gaming, do you think, like for your company?
Sure. Well, so we did start in 2018, so it's not like we're exactly new or completely new to the space. I think obviously the release of the next gen consoles makes the release of a console specific headphone in the time frame that we did highly relevant. But as far as why we decided to get into gaming in general, frankly, it's a market that is a little bit underserved in terms of quality audio content. Often what you're dealing with gaming headsets are, they're peripheral manufacturers that make a lot of other different types of hardware, and they're selling you on aesthetics and some other things like that. And we found that, we're one of the few actual audio companies to get into that space and to provide gamers with actual equipment of professional audio quality standard. And, it's, again, I think it's a surprise to people. They're not quite used to the technology and stuff like that, but it's highly relevant to gaming. The sound designers, composers, all these people who work on video games, they put a lot of work into making the sound great, whether it's spatial sound design that you were getting to earlier, with the HRTF and whether it's surround sound mixes and all that other stuff, but just simply to the quality of the recordings that they use, the quality of the compositions that they have, and to hear all of that stuff on, I don't want to call it inferior hardware, but
a stereo headset. Just to try to hear that stuff on a stereo headset is much more difficult.
Well, and I wouldn't even say just a stereo headset. So the thing is, the Penrose is a stereo headset. So just again to reiterate, the Penrose does not do surround sound processing.
Okay.
But if you're taking a game that has an HRTF layered into it already, which a lot of them do, like I think Counter-Strike Go introduced an HRTF into their game years ago. And so a lot of people are doing this stuff. So even if you're not getting the 5.1 or 7.1 mix, you're still dealing with object-based audio that has a lot of things built into it to help with the spatialization, to make it sound like it's in a space. And as far as that goes, planar magnetic drivers excel due to, again, the accuracy of sound reproduction. So if you imagine you're trying to pinpoint a gunshot or a footstep or something like that, really percussive sound with a fast transient, if your diaphragm, your speaker, can't move fast enough, you're not going to get a full accurate representation of that sound wave. So you may get distortion, you may just not be able to distinguish one sound from another within this, whatever you want to call it, within this canopy or whatever of sound. With our headphones, it's not quite that way. Because of our driver technology, you're able to hear all of those details with pinpoint accuracy, right? And that's just because it's a planar driver. Again, it's hard to maybe really understand what a difference that makes without hearing it. But yeah, so it helps you hear where things are occurring better, even if you're not getting a surround sound mix. Now, if you are getting a surround sound mix, which would require something like Mobius, right? Then yeah, that's absolutely, that's a whole other level here, because then you're actually getting to hear it like it's coming from speakers in a room around you. You can turn your head, you'll hear the actual sounds coming from that direction. And that's just a completely different experience, both in terms of competitive advantage and just immersion in general.
How does Penrose take advantage of like Dolby Atmos at all? I know that's fairly new technology still. Did they anything in that area?
So Atmos is going to be processed on the source side. There's nothing really special about the headphones other than licensing things like that. So it would be a fantastic fit for Atmos because again, the ability of the drivers to reproduce sound accurately means that the sort of surround sound emulation that's trying to be accomplished by Atmos will be a lot more effective. You need accurate equipment in order to properly realize a spatialized listening environment within a pair of headphones, and our headphones excel at that.
Right, and I know there are some headphones, not yours, but some that try to like do that on their end without, but like it's the source audio. Like if it's not Atmos ready or you're not going to get 7.1 if the game's only mastered in 5.1. You know what I mean? Like that's
right.
Some headsets will try to like cheat it, but it's not the same. You know what I mean?
Sure,
it's not the same.
Sure. And that's not what we're doing. Even with Mobius, it's an 8-channel sound card actually built into that headphone. So if the game has a 5.1 mix or a 7.1 mix, you will actually be able to select that output format just as though you were connected to a speaker array. But we don't do any sort of remixing of the source audio on the headphones to take a stereo track and then extrapolate it into a surround sound track.
Now, one of the things that my wife always kicks me about is why I don't usually wear headphones when I'm playing Xbox is because I can't monitor my voice, or maybe the max monitor voice is so quiet I have to yell to hear myself through the headset. Does the Penrose offer voice monitoring built into your headset?
Yeah, so that's what we call sidetone. Now I'd have to double check. I think we've changed the default setting. So the default now may be off. You have to toggle it on via the app. But again, we actually publish changes that we make to the firmware on the Penrose page itself. So if you scroll to the bottom of the Penrose page below the FAQ, you should see here's a list of updates that we've made. So double check there. But yes, we do have sidetone. Its level is directly proportionate to the level that you've set on your mic here. So as I increase my microphone gain here on the scroll wheel, my sidetone increases. And if I don't want that, I can just download the optional Audeze HQ app and I can toggle it off.
So in the HQ app, that does everything. Like you can be on the couch wireless with the app, and then once it's set, it syncs to the headset, and you can make changes in real time on your phone on the couch.
Yes, so I think we're still working on some of the mobile versions of the app. That is the one caveat there. And again, I apologize for not having all of this information on hand in terms of timelines for development of apps. But we're still working on the OS X app. We just released the Penrose update for Windows desktop systems. So for mobile versions of the app, I think we need a little bit more time. I don't believe we have an iOS 1 plan, so it would be an Android version that we would have in the works, as well as the OS X version.
Yeah, there's a lot more. There's a lot more approval process and hoops jump through when you make an app for the iOS. So it takes a little bit longer than the Android or Windows store. That sounds great, man. Where can people go to find more information about the Penrose?
Yeah, just www.audeze.com/Penrose. It's AUDEZE. And then, that's really it. And everything that you need to know is on there. We got a bunch of FAQs. We have a lot of support documents available too. So for those people who maybe already own one, who have some questions, there are plenty of those available on the website too.